So I think the the issue comes from way the track is set up off the start, sideline to sideline in these short stadiums or on a football stadium. It's going to cause crashes like that all the time when they go into 90s. But if you want to break down the crash, it's between Henry Miller and Tom Vial and Seth. So when people watch it, you see Vial, he closes down on Seth, and people would think, okay, Seth kind of knows that, so should he shut off? But if you look at it, Seth can't. He can't shut off because he's got Henry. So Seth is stuck in the middle because he's got Henry on the left side of him, and then you got Tom Vial in front of him on the right side. So what ends up happening is Seth actually gets caught on Tom's bike. If you start looking, he actually starts getting pulled, like his shoulder starts getting hooked up and he starts getting dragged up. Well, once he gets caught, then that's when Miller shuts it off. Then if he wasn't caught, then he could have shut it down. But the problem was with Seth, he had Tom closing down on him, and then he had Henry on the other side of him. So Seth actually couldn't shut it off because he would have been hit. If he would have shut down then, he would have actually got caught up with Henry. He would end up having what happened with Vial. It would have happened with Henry because Henry was on the gas. He would have ran into him and they would have went down. So Seth had no choice but to keep it on. And once Henry shut it down to where he could shut down Seth, that is, he was already caught on Tom. So before people were like, oh, well, why didn't he just shut off the gas? Like if he already knew Tom basically had that line, then he should have shut off the gas. Well, he couldn't because again, he was stuck in the middle, and Henry was still trying to beat the guys on the inside of him, and then you had Seth. So that was a racing incident. There was literally nobody's fault on that. That was just the way the race, the track, and that's what happens when you have those first corners. But to avoid that situation, you got to actually change that layout of the track because go back to any video, and you see that sideline to sideline on football stadiums into a section like that, you're gonna have crashes all day. And usually, it ends up when the guy on the inside goes down, and you see one guy going right on left-hander. It takes out half the field, which makes it seem like a lot bigger of a deal than what it is. But what happened with Seth and those other guys, that happens every week. I mean, there's always tangles every week, or whether they end up like Cameron did, where they hook on the guy and then they end up saving it because look, he gets off and then there's nobody next to him. It happens every week. So it's not the greats, it's not the whole shot devices, not none of that. The reason this crash happened is because the way to start is set up, and you're gonna have those issues the way it is. But damn, that was a triumph start for Evan Ferry. Damn, that boy hit the ground. And then again, everybody else was tumbling. So once those guys get tangled up, then it's dominoes from that point. Everybody else is just along for the ride because, again, when you get one guy from the inside going to the right on the left-handed, everybody else is still racing. Like they don't know what's going on. They don't know Tom Vial has got a motorcycle hooked on the back of them, and they're going into it, aka Danger Boy. He ends up being the guy that gets hit along with other guys. So usually the issue comes into once the guys on the inside, the outside guys are still trying to pin in and get that whole shot, butterfinger, whole shot of war, whatever you want to call it. They're trying to get to that line first. And then that's why you get the domino effects and things happen quickly. And once they happen, it's like everybody gets caught off guard because usually when you got a guy falling like that, it's almost like they speed it up. Like they're like everybody's starting to break, and then you got a guy getting hooked. He's on the gas or getting slung into it. So when everybody on the outside is breaking, then you got this bike like somebody just ran the red light and hit everybody, and then everybody gets in, and then they end up getting that triumph hit like Ferry did, and then going down and getting everything hanging out after that point. So I think it was really nobody's fault, just the way it is. And you get guys who are upset, like Hayden Deegan, he flipping him off because he don't know. He don't know when he watches the video. He'll probably wish he can go back and retract that bird. Like you give him the bird, then you wind it back down. Maybe not. Who knows? But he'll definitely see that that was nobody's fault, and that was that. And then when people are saying should they red flag it, well, I'll never make that judgment call because I think as good as Dr. Bodner and Asterisk AMA, like Jeremy, they know when to do that. And clearly, I wanted them to red flag it because I wanted to see those guys up. I wanted to see Cameron hanging it out up front. But hey, they didn't do it. Like Danger Boy, he was out. Like they weren't gonna be changing handlebars, so he was bummed anyway. But I don't think they red flagged it because nobody was really in the way. I think people wanted a red flag because half the field was laying on the ground, but they all got up. I think it would be different if somebody was laid out in the track and they were hurt. Then they would have red flagged it. But I know they came around the first lap. I think there was a bike there, but it got cleared off. So yeah, just racing. It happened, and unfortunately, it happened to half the field, and that was that. But I still think Austin Faulkner would have won the race. I think everything would have happened the way it did, because Danger Boy, he was out.